broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Mary Jane! Mary Jane! Welcome to another episode of AFTERBUZZ TV's recap of BET's Being Mary Jane. It's episode 3, Sparrow. I am one of your hosts, Megan Thomas, at Meg Scoop on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Periscope. And I have two beautiful ladies with me and a special guest, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Who are you two ladies?
Well, I am Tiona Hobson, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Tiona Hobson.
And I am Shar Jossell. You can follow me on Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, and Instagram at Shar Says So.
Yes, Fania sends her love. She's not able to be with us today, but we have a special guest. If you've been watching this season of Being Mary Jane, then you've seen this beautiful face. She is on the verge of replacing Mary Jane, and she did get read by Mary Jane when she moved the purse over. Give it up for the one and only beautiful Daniella Alonso.
Hello. So happy to be here.
I know, Marisol Esparza. We're so excited that you're here with us. By the way, you're like stunning. When we saw you, we were just like, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous.
It's a lot of makeup, but thank you. Thank you.
I don't believe that.
Me either.
Right.
Me either.
How has it been being on this new season of Mary Jane?
It's been incredible. I have to say they are one of the sweetest casts that I've ever met and worked with. And they're so talented. Like Gabrielle and Lisa just kill it every week. And Mara, of course, like it's just brilliant. I'm just very grateful to have been a part of it.
What was the process like for auditioning for this?
Well, it's funny because I went in to audition and I didn't actually have to audition. Twinkie, the casting director, was like, I just want to, say hello. And I was like, oh, okay, because I worked on like 10 pages of dialogue. No? And she was like, no, it's good. We're just really happy to have you. And I was like, this is awesome. I called Mike. I'm like, yes.
I love Twinkie.
That's never happened.
What has the fan reaction been to having your character here? Because I know sometimes people can take their personal feelings about a character out on the actor.
Well, you know what? I get it because I'm a fan of the show too, and people. I think they have to get to know Marisol. She's new, and so they're trying to feel her out. Some people don't love the fact that she's there to take over, but I don't think she's there to take over. I just think she's there to do her job and see what happens. But they're not happy, but that's okay. I get it.
Right.
I get it.
I'm not taking it personally.
Right.
No.
And what is it? So you've been in so many TV shows and movies and everything. What has it been like, especially being on a show like that's so diverse? You get to still be a Latina in this and not just like ethnically ambiguous.
It's different. I actually it felt like being home.
Oh, wow.
If that makes any sense. Like I just was like so comfortable and everyone. It just felt like everyone got me and I got them, and it's like you don't have to do anything. It's almost like being at home.
Right, right.
It was a beautiful feeling.
Okay, so I know I don't want you to lose your job. But what can you tell us and what can we expect from Marisol this season?
Well, the thing, Lisa's character, she really loves Mary Jane, and so she kind of, stands up for her friend and gives it to me. But I've always said from the very beginning, Marisol is, if this was a man, people would not be questioning her as much. I think she's just there to do her job. It's an opportunity that presented itself, and why not take advantage of it? But I think she's got good intentions. She's not like, out to steal someone's job. She's there to show what she can do.
Yeah, I think for me, I saw it as people are mad at the wrong person because Marisol had nothing to do with them going out to find someone. She's just the person they brought in.
Yes, exactly.
And I feel like Marisol, she approaches it like that. Like she, for people to, maybe misdirect, have some misdirected feelings towards you, you're just there to do your job. You're just there to fill in for Mary Jane, prime time or whatever, and it's the head honchos that are trying to,
that's who I'm mad at.
We want to know what you guys think. Make sure you use the hashtag ABTVBMJ for your questions or comments. We might just shout you out on air. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so let's get into this episode 3, Sparrow. This was a heavy and deep episode, you guys. So heavy. Lisa committed suicide. This is her second attempt, or that we know of, correct?
Yeah.
That we know of. She's battled with depression and a few different other mental disorders. And so, when this first started, what were your initial thoughts, everybody?
Oh my God, I hope she doesn't die.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that what you're...
I don't think my brain processed that Lisa was actually dead until she was in the coffin.
Oh wow, that was
like that. Because for me, it was like they weren't really saying it. I know before that happened, maybe one person said, Lisa's dead, but they weren't really saying it. It was just alluded, like you knew it happened. So in my mind, and I guess I watch way too many fantasy shows where people come back from the dead, and I'm like, come on, like there's a twist. There's a twist. She's not actually dead. So seeing her in the coffin is when I was like, oh my gosh, we just lost Lisa.
For me, it was just... when I saw the actual death hat with the foaming at the mouth and the dropping of the wine glass, I was like, oh my, because I don't think I processed what was going on, with her eating from her, that looked like a good cheese tray, didn't it? The cheese and gravy, her eating from her cheese tray and getting ready for bed. I'm just like, okay, where are they going with this?
It took me a second too, because I was like, oh, she's getting real sexy. Where's she going? She's getting in the bed, and then I saw that first pill bottle. I said, oh no.
Hashtag ugly truths.
I know. So sad, so sad. So we see, like, at the very beginning, there's a total difference, opposites, I guess you can say, between Lisa and then we also see Mary Jane by herself. They're both alone. They're both, it seems like Lisa was almost happy. She's in the bed. She's drinking her wine. She's smiling. Then you see Mary Jane on the flip side, and she's looking in the mirror, and she's struggling with putting the medicine on her cuts and her bruises. And it's like one of them is hurt physically on the outside. The other one is hurt emotionally. And you would think, oh, the physical pains are worse, but clearly we see that Lisa was going through way more than we knew.
Yeah.
Sad stuff about suicide.
And it's sad because there was a warning last week about it, because when Mary Jane's brother brought Lisa over, he was like, we don't want her to go and kill herself, and it's like when this was happening, that's what came into my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, as Mary Jane, these are the thought processes that she's having too, and for that to be your friend in the last sort of conversation you had with her.
Well, that conversation was a direct result of Lisa's poor decision making, and I thought that Mary Jane not only read her for filth, but it was in such an eloquent way. That was such because their friendship was like troubled anyway. Let's not act like they were just skipping through a field of lilies. Their friendship was troubled, and I thought that was just such an eloquent way. It was snippy, yes, but it was an eloquent way to just end it. And it's just like, I mean, it sucks, but there reaches a point where you just sometimes got to make hard decisions like that. But I don't think she was expecting Lisa, of course, to do that this week.
Right. And Daniella, what did you think when you saw when Mary Jane finds out that Lisa has died and she's going through her call log? She goes through the missed calls and she sees that last missed call.
That's brutal. It was so sad because I think it's just everyone's been, at some point in their lives in that place where it's like that guilt. Guilt is the worst feeling, especially when you love somebody so much. And I was with you guys, and like I said, I was like, I just met you. I don't want to be like crying hysterically. So I was just like holding it together, just like trying. Oh God, it was so sad. So sad.
That was one of the worst parts to me, the call log. It was like, this show just does such a great job of putting you in Mary Jane's shoes.
Right.
Like, I was like, damn, like, how would I react? Like, I mean, she was looking at me, but I was like, you know, I kept getting misty-eyed, and I have a pound of makeup on tonight for Halloween. This is y'all know I don't look like this all the time, but this is Halloween, and I didn't want my makeup to streak, but I had to, like, kind of, you know how you got to kind of catch it, because this episode had me on a roller coaster.
Right. And we see that Nichelle is back. Brayley Evans, shout out to her. And so they have kind of a meeting of the friends. Nichelle's there. Who else is there? Lisa Vidal's character is there. Mark is there. They're all talking about her, and they're all talking about some stuff. And Nichelle brings up a really good topic, especially for Black women. And let me know if this is the same for Latinas as well. She says something that is like something that we all know as Black people. We don't kill ourselves. That's just something that is kind of in the Black community, which is really sad because suicide affects everybody. Mm-hmm. But she was saying, you know, I wear this as a badge that, you know, we don't kill ourselves. That's just one thing Black people don't do. Is that something, Danielle? Is that in the Latina community? Is it just as, I guess, just as understood?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Not for, at least from my family and my immediate, you know, family and friends.
And it's funny, when she said that, what did you guys think?
This was something that I had been thirsty to attack. I couldn't wait to do the after show to address this, because I feel so often, this goes hand in hand with the November issue of Ebony magazine, hashtag Cosby versus Cliff, because there's, you know, mixed reaction about that cover, because a lot of the times in our community, the Black community, we don't like talking about things. We don't like addressing things, whether it be mental illness, LGBT issues. Like, these things affect everybody, not just one race or sect of people. Right. So mental illness is very real in the Black community, and so often we don't like addressing it, because a lot of Black people, I mean, let's just call it for what it is, a lot of Black people don't like going to therapy, or they don't believe in it. Right. They believe in going to the church altar, which is, nothing is wrong with that, but the therapists and the psychologists are there for a reason. Right. And I just thought that was very interesting for her to pinpoint that, because like I said, I when she said that literally looped me back into the big debate about the November issue of Ebony, and how we as a culture just don't like talking about things for whatever reason. We just don't like talking about, you know, rape and molestation and LGBT and mental illness. I don't know why we're like that. Why we're programmed like that.
Yeah, it's very true, because I mean, I look at factors in my own family of, like, there's things that we just don't talk about. It happened. Everyone just kind of, like, acknowledges it in their own way. And I was having a conversation with one of my Caucasian friends the other day, because he went to start seeing a therapist, and he was like, oh my gosh, it's so therapeutic just to talk to someone, like, just to get things off my chest that I don't want to bug you with. You should go see a therapist. And I was like, Black people don't do that. And then I was like, wait.
This Black person does.
And then I was like, wait a second. And he was like, what? I've never heard that before. I was like, it's just something that, like, we just, as a culture, don't openly at least talk about going to do it.
Right,
because we might be doing it behind closed doors, but that's the other issue, is that we do a lot of things behind closed doors, and it's like, we want our private business to stay our private business, but we want your private business to be our public life. Right. Like, I don't care if you tell me all the juicy stuff in your life, but you're not going to find out about mine.
Right.
Well, I think also it has to do with the families being, it's not just usually in Latino families, and it's not just like a nuclear family. You have a huge family, so you have people that you talk to and you can turn to. You don't need to go to outside places, but then that creates this, like, environment where you don't reach.
Not everybody's qualified.
Exactly.
Seriously. Your aunt, your cool aunt, who's easy to talk to, may not be the most qualified person to kind of, you know, hash out your issues to. Right. She may be misdirecting you and worsening essentially what's going on.
Right. And then the misconception that a lot of people have, that suicide is weakness.
Yeah.
Like,
that was
you're weak.
Quote.
You just, you know, and I was like, I'm glad Cara said that, because
it's an illness.
It's an illness. You know, it's something, people are going through things. So for us to be like, oh, you took the easy way, you just killed yourself. That's trash. Rough.
That's trash. That's a trash way of thinking.
Right.
And when people say that's the easy way out, that takes a lot of strength to be able to do that, because I, in my state right now, cannot imagine putting myself through that and actually going through with the act of hurting myself. Right. I get mad if I, like, cut myself with my own nail. I'm like, oh my God, that's the worst pain ever, and I can't take it. So to actually go through with
or to be that emotionally low.
Yes.
Because the way that I see it, being, of course, a person who's not suicidal, the way that I see it, if I were Lisa just looking at that scene, I would be like, oh, I was just playing, like, I take it back. After she popped all the pills and drank the wine, like, what if she changed her mind?
Yep.
But to be that emotionally low where you've made up your mind and you're like, look, this is it. This is it. This is what I'm going to do. And it's very sad. It tugs at my heart, honestly.
So then we see also with that Mary Jane's mom says we killed her. Mm-hmm. Is there any truth to that statement, Daniela?
No, but that's just an old school way of thinking, I think. You just put everything on yourself, or you're wrong, or, it's my grandmother was like that. I mean, I just grew, I just think it's old school.
The only reason why I'm going to disagree with you, Daniela, is because I feel like Mary Jane's mom might have been coming from the perspective of, remember how Mary Jane was speaking at the eulogy and said that we should all basically live in our truth. She believes that the mountain of lies is essentially what led to the demise of Lisa. And so maybe her mom meant that in the way of we weren't honest. Like maybe her mom knows that Lisa was molested by her. I'm going to imagine that the mom does know that. Right. Mary Jane's mom. So maybe I was looking at it from that angle. Like when she said we killed her, maybe by not addressing, maybe not by not talking about, maybe not being there for her in the way that we could have or the way that we should have. Maybe from that angle.
Here's what I'm going to say. I kind of agree. I don't know. I want to say that they did partake in killing her. Let me tell you why. Because even though Mary Jane went through something so horrible, she was, she had just gone through this car accident, her face is jacked up, her job is in jeopardy. When your friend is suicidal, she's tried to commit suicide before, she's not in the right mental state. You have an obligation, even when you're going through your own stuff, to go, you know what, I'm going through a lot, but let me put that to the side. My friend might kill herself.
That's a lot to ask of someone.
It is a lot to ask, but if that's your best friend, if that is your sister, as she says, then that's just what you do.
But when you look at the bigger picture of Mary Jane, she's just typically emotionally unavailable to a lot of stuff.
So she killed her.
In certain, but you know what? Look at it like this, because I would have been mad at Lisa too. Okay, yes, you are suicidal, but does that put into question the decisions that you make as far as, dipping and doing it with what is mine with David? Yeah, I'm pissed. I'm not going to let you sit up there and, have a good time with my man or my situationship and be like, oh, well, she is suicidal, so let me just let that ride. Let me not address that. No, I'm going to call you to the carpet about your shit.
And she did. So I appreciate Mary Jane for doing that because it had to be addressed. But it's really sad because if think about it, if your best friend killed themselves and you had just had a fight.
That's awful.
Yeah. Like how do you
process that? How do you begin to process that?
You go to therapy.
Right. Definitely go to therapy.
Right. Seriously. That's exactly what you
That's a lot. So I don't know, just thinking about that, I'm like, yeah, she was going through a lot for herself, but if your friend is going through something and your friend is not mentally stable,
I think that there's a lot of factors into it, and because Lisa was mentally unstable and had attempted suicide before, it's not completely on Mary Jane, because if it wasn't this, it would have been something else that triggered Lisa into getting to the point of, having enough and going through with this. So I can't say that I blame Mary Jane. I'm kind of with Daniela on this. Like, if it wasn't this, it would have been something else. And until she got the treatment and help that she actually needed, there was no avoiding this for Lisa.
Right. Yeah. And then we also see that Mary Jane heads over to Lisa's house. We see the cheese tray. We see, we see the sheets with the wine spilled on the side. Ooh, it's rough. But we also meet Lisa's mom and her stepfather, Charles.
Tina Knowles' husband.
Tina Knowles' husband, in case you guys didn't know. That's Solange and Beyonce's stepdaddy, Charles.
Next step is Beyonce coming on the show.
Right. Beyonce's going to be on the show.
Oh my God.
1 degree separation from Beyonce now, guys.
I know. How awesome is that?
Richard Lawson.
Did you guys see when he came into the picture, and of course we see that Lisa hasn't talked to her family in over 15 years.
Yeah.
Did you guys immediately go to, okay, there must be some kind of molestation, rape?
No, I didn't.
You did?
I did.
And not because I worked on it. I just knew. It's just...
That's what I read from it. I was just like, there's some weird here. You're calling him Charles, not Dad. Like,
maybe I'm naive. I didn't look at it like that.
I literally wrote, Charles, what happened?
And you know what? That's why I was saying, because you guys know I didn't take notes. I just jotted it, but I live tweeted it. And so I asked, I wonder what's going on, what's going on between Charles and, Lisa. And of course, people tweeted me, but luckily the scene had already passed. But I'm like, spoiler, y'all could have saved that.
Right. And then when he's, Mary Jane says it's either him or me at this funeral.
Yeah. That's heavy.
That's when I was like, oh, there's definitely some molestation or something going on there. And when her mother Lisa's mother goes to the car and she talks to Charles about him not attending, did you guys think that he really wouldn't come?
No, I knew he was going.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to come.
I thought he wasn't going to come.
I mean, at this point, I thought it was her actual father.
Not
to say that there's a difference where, like, a stepfather can't be in, step in a great way. But I'm thinking, like, of course her dad is going to be there. There's no way he's going to miss this. And then later on, finding out about the whole truth of it and stepfather. I guess that's why I didn't think molestation.
Because I thought it was her father.
I thought it was her biological father.
Even still, I was just like, what other reason would you have for not speaking to your father and your mother for 15 years? And then for Mary Jane to be so upset if this man stepped foot in that church I was like, it has to be something like of that magnitude.
And for him to dismiss it. Like when he was in the car, he was like, your daughter is bipolar with a wild imagination.
Mentally unstable.
Like, my thing is, that must have been something for Lisa. And I know someone that's very close to me who was molested kind of like in that type age 9 to 16 type thing. And she has her own issues as far as with her mother. Like that must be some type of cross to bear, to know that your mother chose to stay with the man.
Right.
Because we're going to assume that she told her mom if Mary Jane knew.
No, because you see in the car when he says, all that stuff, you bringing up stuff, she's dividing our family. Like, so the mom knew, obviously,
That's painful. Watching that is pain, because I cannot imagine, I'm not a mom, but I cannot imagine if I were a mom putting my child's safety and mental health in jeopardy for a man?
Right.
What? Are you kidding me? But there's so many women that do it.
Right.
I mean, if we're going to be honest.
This show brings up so many different topics. Every episode, there's
Every episode.
Yes. So far, what has been a topic that's been very real and near and dear to you that you've seen in this show?
It actually... the episode where she was getting her eggs when they were checking.
Yeah.
And it kind of just got me like thinking about it, and I actually did that.
Really?
Because of that episode, it inspired me. I was like, I want to be in control of my life. And what I do with I don't want to be rushed into that episode. Like changed everything for me, and I was like, I'm doing it.
Did you put sperm in the freezer too?
No, just the eggs.
So you froze your eggs?
I did because of that episode.
Oh my gosh, how crazy is that? So what does that consist of? Do you really have to go through all the hormonal treatments and everything?
Yes,
like that?
but it wasn't as the doctors that I went. They were fantastic, and it wasn't as crazy as I thought it would be. You just basically you go in, you get checked out. I was of course doing it for a different reason.
Okay.
I don't have any issues.
Right.
I was just doing it so to safeguard so that I actually can have kids when I want to.
Right.
So I'm lucky in that respect. But you just take shots for 10 days. They're not fun. It hurts.
Right.
And then after that, you go in for a little procedure, and a few hours later, you wake up and it's done.
So then what do they do? They just have your
freeze
eggs
them.
and they put them in a freezer somewhere.
They freeze them.
And label them with your name.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you tell them how many eggs to take, or are they choose?
Well, they take as many as you have in that cycle. So yeah.
So you could be literally 60 years old and you know what?
Well,
I haven't had kids. You know what?
It's good. They're good for about 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Okay.
They don't know past that.
Right.
So for a good healthy baby, and that's just in case. That's not a. But that episode, really, I was just like, oh my god. I know I get it, and I was like, I don't want to have to go through that, so I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Did you tell Mara Brock Akil when you were on the show? What did she say?
This happened after. I did it after.
What did she say?
Yeah. She doesn't know.
Oh, she doesn't know.
Now
she knows.
Thank you, Mara.
I know when you have your baby, you can be like, Mara.
Yes, thank you. Hopefully it's natural, but if not, then you know what?
You got 5 to 7 years to make up your mind. There's plenty of time to think.
Right. See, all these issues that this show brings up.
Relatable.
Yeah.
I know.
It's disgusting how relatable it is. It really is.
Right. And here's the second time that we actually brought up suicide on the show, because before it was Terrence, her friend, who was also a journalist who went through some trouble for lying, plagiarizing, that kind of thing. he killed himself. And so now this is the second episode that we're talking about suicide. Yeah, so this is heavy. And I want to ask Mara when she comes on this show, we're putting it out there, hey Mara, hey girl, why suicide has been such a recurring topic. I don't know why, but we'll find out.
It's something that it's so relevant in the world when they talk about it, and I feel like they pull things from what's happening in real life.
And it's stirring up conversation because she knows who her target audience is. Hello, BET. So it's stirring up necessary conversations in certain households.
Right. So we go on to the scene where we actually see Lisa in the casket, looking stunning.
That was good. Nothing worse.
Angelic.
Nothing worse than going to a funeral and it's open casket and you have to ask who is that. I mean, can we be honest?
I can't laugh. I'm not supposed to laugh.
Can we be honest? I mean, it happens sometimes, but she looked bomb. You know, that is why, not to get off topic, but that is why I told my mother in the unfortunate event that I leave the earth before her, please cremate me, because I don't want to be that case. I don't want to be that case. You know, when you walk up to the casket and they're like, that's not Shar. So who is that in there?
Right. So then we have David who is talking to Mary Jane, and they have this whole conversation. Okay, I need your guys' thoughts about what happened and with this conversation. He says to Mary Jane, was it your fault? And then she's like, wait a minute. I know it wasn't my fault. But why are you making it seem like it wasn't our fault?
Yep.
Did you think she was realistic with what she was saying, or do you think she was overreacting? Daniella.
I see both sides of it. I didn't take it that way. I thought he was really trying to comfort her. But then the more she talks, the more I was like, no, you're right. You're right. You know him better than anybody. Yes. I'm happy you said that to him. I mean, that was what was going through my mind as I was watching it.
Right.
I had kind of the same reaction, but I don't think that, at least, I mean, everyone who's been watching the shows knows that I love me some David.
He is.
So I don't think that he meant it the way it came out, and I think that because Mary Jane had been bottling up her emotions and not processing that her best friend was dead, that it just all came out at the same time and it all got taken out on him, which she always bottles everything up and then everything comes out on David when he does one thing wrong. And maybe it was a misguided step in him using the wrong pronoun there, but I think he's also saying, like, it's not your fault. Like, he's dealt with the fact that, like, it's not my fault either. So I'm letting you know it's not your fault. But he probably should have said it's
not the wrong person.
Yeah, it was coming from the wrong person.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. I would have agreed with that had David not said, he was just quiet. So I didn't understand if she's saying this to you and you're like, wait, this is coming out of left field. When Mary Jane says the whole, you basically did this, you wanted her money and this one blowjob, and he didn't say anything. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Was David the one in her phone when she, at the beginning of the episode, when it was like, get rid of him?
Go.
Yeah. So that's crazy that she had to deal with him again in such unfortunate circumstances. But it's like, every time she tried to let him go, something happens.
But I'm saying, but
the universe pulling them together, saying they're meant to be.
But he is trifling.
He is.
But he is so fine. But that is no excuse. Know your worth.
So wait a minute. So do you guys think that there was some validity to what she was saying as far as him getting money from Lisa?
Oh, wait.
I don't think
when she says, because she says, like, you basically did this for money, this one blowjob. If that's all I know about.
My thought process, because I will say it again, I'm a David fan. If someone's that angry and emotional and going off on you, it's not worth fighting.
Yeah.
It's not worth going back and being like, hey, this point is wrong, this point, because they're not hearing you. You just have to let her get it out, express herself, move on, get to a new day where she's calmer, and then I'm sure they're going to have another conversation and it's going to be fine.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. And if you guys love the programming here on AfterBuzz TV, make sure you watch our sister station, Black Hollywood Live. It's the first African-American network where we have broadcasting for all different types of topics. We've got a show about fashion, show about politics, show about sports, show about geeky, nerdy tech stuff, and then a show that I'm on called Next, where we interview up-and-coming actors and artists in the industry. So make sure you guys watch Black Hollywood Live. It's blackhollywoodlive.com. You can also search it on YouTube, follow, subscribe, and it's at BHL Online for all social media.
yeah, make sure you guys check it out. It's a great network.
Yeah, it is.
Megan's awesome on the show next.
Oh, you're so nice.
She's so amazing on that show.
You're so funny. So make sure you guys check that out. All right, let's talk about the actual funeral.
The wig snatcher. That's what I call it.
What do you mean?
The wig, because it made me want to snatch off my wig and throw it on the ground. It's the wig snatcher. When she did her eulogy, I was like, the tears were flowing, and I felt like I needed to get relaxed, like I'm at home.
Right. Michelle's singing. We walk into the church. Everyone's there.
Which is interesting because she's saying, you know, his eyes on the sparrow. And what's the actress's name again?
Brayley Evans.
Brayley Evans was also in Sparkle, the remake with Jordan Sparks and Whitney Houston. And Whitney Houston sang his eyes on the sparrow in the church. So I thought I connected the dots. That was a little full circle for me.
Girl, everybody's singing his eyes on the sparrow. That's like the universal black funeral song.
Well, Sister Act 2 really kicked it off for a lot of the youth. So, Lauren Hill.
And so then we also see that, by the way, Mom looked stunning with her, I don't know what that headpiece was she had on, but it was stunning.
Wait, which mom?
Mary Jane's mom.
By the way, I saw her in person last Saturday at Diva Simply Singing. That's a bad 71-year-old.
Yes.
She is beautiful.
Yes.
Really.
Yes.
Really.
Margaret Avery is stunning. So we also see that Charles has made his way into the church.
Girl.
And, you know, when Mary Jane... When the pastor said everyone's welcome here, I could just see it like brewing. Like Mary Jane was like, all right.
Right. When they had to walk.
You're right. Yeah. Did you have any monologue where you were just like, this is it? Like, this is...
Like a Papa Pope monologue.
I do have one. And it's not a monologue. It was a dialogue with Lisa, but it's pretty... I was like, ooh, yes, finally. And then, you know... I don't get the last word.
Right. We see a little bit of that in the preview. Yes. I'm like, yes, the Latinas. Like, let's see how this turns out.
So much fun working with her. It really was.
You guys are stunning, by the way. You guys are like pastor sisters, you know?
Well, you know what's so funny? Because when I showed up my first day, Mario Van Peebles was directed my first episode. And they were like, oh, yeah. And as soon as I walked up, I was like, hi, guys. And they were like, oh, no. I was like... What? And they were like, you guys look like you could be sisters.
Right.
I was like, oh, God. Does that mean, do I leave?
Am I fired?
Yeah. But she's beautiful.
I know, stunning. Both of you guys are stunning. So, yeah, Mary Jane says some really profound things. She also puts it out there that Charles molested Lisa. And I felt like, yeah, you just got rid because you deserve that. You shouldn't have came.
Did anyone... when that whole thing was going down for me, I don't know about anybody else, but I didn't feel too bad for the mother.
You did or you didn't?
I did not.
I didn't either.
I was like,
she was
don't
wailing.
cry now.
Right.
Like,
she was wailing. It probably was like...
I mean, part of me. Not. I get it. She's a mother. She lost her baby, but
it probably was like a harsh slap in the face.
I mean...
You know, because sometimes you can suppress things for years, and she's stuck by this abusive man that was abusing her daughter, and now it's like, oh, someone's in the pulpit and it was probably a harsh, like I said, like a figurative slap across the face.
Because she didn't stop crying the whole time.
Not insulting, but kind of like, here's the mirror. Yeah. Like, face the truth. And we're here.
It goes back to the whole, you know, black people not
talking about things
and putting things out in the open. So now she's in a room full of people who she's gone about life acting like everything's happy and go lucky, and her family doesn't have these issues. And now the whole room full of some strangers now know her business.
Now it's up to their interpretation and what they're going to do about it.
And they had decided too not to let everyone know how Lisa actually died.
Health issues.
Yeah, it was health issues. They're not telling people that it was a suicide.
Truth.
And that's sad too. I feel like, you know, just to lie about that and to be, I feel like that's like...
It's how we're programmed.
And it's so sad to be like, oh, she died from health issues when clearly this woman had problems, and you're now, who else are you hurting by not being honest?
But when people hear, like, oh, she died from a suicide, do you think that, like, people reacting to it, their reaction becomes different than, like, she died and it was
depending on their faith, people will determine their reaction. But I feel like if you say health issues, people are going to be like, what? You know, Lisa was only 34. What do you mean health issues? Yeah. But they're going to ask questions if it's a suicide, too. Well, what drove her to this? What was going on? People are going to pry either way. But to make it look better, to make the family look good, it's just health issues.
So, you know, for a heavy episode like this, what do you take away from it when you see this? How do you leave this? What do you do?
First of all, I'm going to call up some of my friends who I haven't talked to in a while because I am notorious for getting busy and forgetting to reply to text messages and all that kind of stuff. And I just want to let my people know that I do love them and I do care. And even though I'm busy, I have to find time to make time
I'll
for
be
them.
expecting that call tonight.
No, except for you.
What about you, Shar?
I just took away from it, bringing back to my initial point, how we as a community and we as a culture don't really like discussing stuff. So I looked at this as a huge conversation starter. I always like when feathers are ruffled in the Black community in particular, because it's like you can't approach things with, like this like fair weather approach. You have to be controversial in order to really stir up a dialogue. So I'm going to be looking forward to all of the tweets and stuff and all of the conversation tomorrow, like the water cooler talk about this particular episode, because it's raising awareness for suicide prevention. It's raising awareness for, tying up loose ends, so to speak. And it's just, like I said, forcing people to have necessary conversations. And that's what I really took away from this episode.
What about you, Daniella?
I'm still trying to process what I saw, but I think that for me, it's all about what you put out there is what you will get back. So because I grew up, in a household where it's like, if you cry, that's a weakness. If you, stuff like that. And so for me, like, being vulnerable and being open towards, people that you just meet or friends and keeping that going will allow them to be able to do the same.
Right.
So I just have to try to keep, this reminded me of that, to try to just keep on that path, keep doing that, to be open for others so that they can be open with me and vice versa.
Yes. Let us know what you guys think. Make sure you tweet. And also, when you watch this episode on YouTube, there's some right below. There's a little spot for you to post your comments. Make sure you post your comments because we just might shout you out on the next episode of our recap right here on AfterBuzz TV. Daniella, thank you so much for joining us today.
This is great.
And I have to say this because I used to do the recap for AfterBuzz TV for Revolution on NBC. And you were my favorite character, Nora Clayton. I loved you, and I was really sad when you died. And I was like, no, this can't be life. They killed Nora.
I know.
What do you have? What other projects do you have upcoming?
Well, I shot a pilot called Animal Kingdom for TNT, and we find out in December if we're going.
Okay, we're going to put that out there.
Yes, Animal Kingdom.
Yes.
It's an awesome show.
Uh-huh.
It's a great show. So we'll see.
Any movies coming up?
No movies.
Okay.
But Paul Blart is on DVD.
Yes.
Rent it. Mall Cop.
What do you like doing more, movies or TV shows?
It's funny because when I do TV shows, I want to work on movies. And when I'm working on movies, I'm like, oh, I miss TV. I love both. It's a great job.
Did you always know you were going to be an actress?
I did.
You did?
Yep.
Did your family support you?
Yeah, but they're like, you know what? It's the same as if I was a doctor or a lawyer. They're like, it's your job. Just, have fun. Do what you want to do. So.
Right. I love it. Yeah. All right, and before we get out of here, also, where can all of your fans find you?
Oh, God, I just started Instagram. So
I can tell the Twitter, because you gave me the wrong Twitter.
I did?
Yeah, you put an underscore in it.
That's my Instagram.
Right, but she did that for Twitter.
I'm learning.
I'm clicking the profile. It's like, this profile doesn't exist. I'm like, let me look this girl up.
So it's Daniella Alonso, I believe, on Twitter, and Daniella_Alonso at Instagram. I'm terrible at this, but it's all right. I'll get better.
No, that's right. That's right. The underscore, it's her first and last name. The underscore is on Instagram.
Okay,
the no underscore is on Twitter.
On Twitter. And then before we get out of here, you two, what are your predictions for next week?
Okay.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Fancy.
I was like,
so I think that Lisa's family is going to be sticking around for a bit because her brother Ken kind of gave some looks tonight that I was like, okay, you're going to play a part in this later on in some way.
Like that.
He's not going away that quickly.
Okay.
I'm also really excited to see Jill Scott next week.
Yes.
I'm like, hello, love her. And then I have to say that when they said MJ kisses her first white boy, I was like, yeah, girl.
Better put
I've kissed some white boys. It's fun. Do it. You do you, MJ.
My prediction, I agree with Tiona. I don't think that the family's going away that easily. Maybe they'll last one more episode. But I think that MJ is obviously going to make a fresh start. You see she's rocking a bob now. She's in the club. with the cranberry and vodka in her hand and doing her thing.
Yes.
So I just predict that she is going to still be unpacking and dealing with Lisa's death, but it's going to be a little bit more freeing. Maybe she'll do a hard cry in the first 5 minutes and then decide she wants to go from 27 inches to a bob.
Right. All right. Any predictions from you, Daniela? They could be totally wrong or totally right.
Right, but
I predict that one of you is correct.
Oh, what is this? Okay, my prediction is that Mary Jane is, she's going to be, I guess, grieving in her own way, but it's going to be destructive because it wouldn't be Mary Jane if it wasn't destructive. Marisol is going to get into it, and she's going to be sticking around for 5 more episodes. Because it's on your IMDb. Yep. And then, Mark, I guess, has a sex scandal.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be good.
So
it was so funny when he was like, girl, let me show you how to do this, how I get rid of my trade, girl. You know,
right.
It's like, not the trade.
So, yes, he's going to, it's going to be the French Jew that he said he met. So, yeah, there's going to be some issues with that. So, we'll see. I'm so excited.
Yes, me too.
Okay, where can we find you guys?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope at the Tiona Hobson.
You can find me on everything. First of all, go to SharSaysSo.com, YouTube.com/SharSaysSo, and then Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Periscope at Shar Says So.
It's so easy, you know? You can find me, Megan Thomas, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Periscope at Meg Scoop, like scoop of ice cream. Daniela, thank you so much for joining us. You're stunning.
So much fun.
We're so excited to see you on the rest of the season. We'll be rooting for you, Marisol.
Gracias.
Not too much, though.
Not too much.
Yeah.
Mary Jane's our girl.
Yeah,
But a lot. We'll be rooting
Maybe
for
a
you.
little sideshow.
Yeah. Bring Revolution back, by the way. Anybody watching? Any Revolution fans? Any last words before you leave?
I just had such a blast. Thank you all so much. It was awesome.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys next week for Being Mary Jane recap right here.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.